Welcome, welcome, welcome. It's a Sum Up Sunday here on October 4th, 2020. Let's start with some quick news, and then I want to cover my favorite 6 decks that I think you guys should be using, plus 1 extra if you're interested in seasonal. Season of the Cat has started, so make sure you're getting in there. The seasonal mode is called Switcheroo. After 2 turns, the players switch hands. It's pretty fun. In this post, there's also a link to the patch notes where we went and covered this in a separate video. You can just look up on my channel, and I can leave a link above. But lots of stuff was changed this last week, but it hasn't really totally shifted the landscape of the game. So we'll get into that when we get into decks. But I do think the other cool news, many applause for Pavlolex for winning the Gwent Partners Open. I'm looking forward to the next time it happens, since I just became a Gwent partner, and really looking forward to playing with some of those other awesome streamers and content creators. But let's jump into decks. That's pretty much all the news that there was for this week. So, in decks, I have one for each of the factions, and I'm going to start with the seasonal. Here we have Assimilate, and Assimilate is really solid for seasonal because every other hand you are getting your opponent's cards, so you proc a bunch of boosts. Now, basically the strategy I have for this is use your own Neuromancy to get a portal and keep the rest of your golds in deck. There's a lot of tutors and thinning card plays that work only for you and only for this deck. So if somebody else had the same deck, they could use them for really great value, but I've found most people are running a different iteration of Assimilate if they are running Assimilate, but people are trying out all kinds of different stuff. But you can see here Ardfane Cavalry are a great target for the portal. We can use Brothans for some punish and steal to steal a unit with the created Duchess Informant. I find that to be really valuable. Imperial Diplomacy is also really good. And then Amnesty, you can just play around it yourself. Note that this deck is not Devotion, so if you wanted to clip something, that might be something worth clipping. But otherwise, I've had really good success with this deck. I've probably won 9 out of 10 games with it. So really fun, really great way to play. Just like I said, keep your golds in your deck, but keep the tutors and play the best cards first. Also, my other advice for seasonal, never pass. Seriously, you will get ruined if you pass. Try it out. You'll quickly learn what I mean if you try that. But I think the seasonal is one of the best seasonals of the year. I highly recommend it. Try it out. I know seasonal's not for everyone, but if you like working on those reward trees to get the really pretty card backs, that's a great way to do it. So that's for seasonal. For Monday, I'm going to be rolling out a deck called Herbs, microgreens, whatever you want to call it. But we have a bunch of self-inflicted harm cards with some great tutors. Good tempo. Heme Flaminica works to heal on-crate greatswords. But you'll find the theme of my decks for this season are decks that can be competitive, that are spicy, they have some heat and some flair to them, but they don't run perpetual removal because I find it boring, I find it annoying, and I think it's bad for the community writ large to encourage continued gameplay and interaction with each other and creativity. So with that, that's what this deck is. Artis obviously does punish the opponent's units, but that's really not why we're playing him. He just synergizes so well with Vildkarl. If you've never played this combo before, it is well worth looking into. But you can play down Artis, and then what I actually love to do is use the leader ability to get Artis boosted up to 11 points, because he'll take 3 damage and then get boosted up by 9, which is a net of 6-point boost. So he goes to 11 points, really hard to remove that way. And then you play Vildkarl, and Vildkarl will damage himself by half, rounded up by amount of damage. So he'll actually take 3 damage, and then he'll transform immediately into Champion of Svalbard, which is just an awesome tempo play. I love Hound Snout here too. He can help you get those pings in the event that you don't draw Artis or Artis gets destroyed. He can give you those pings on Vildkarl, and then I actually like to use either the cultist or the Svalbard priest to do damage to those skulls automatically. Priest is my preferred modus operandi for those. Then we have Torsik Skirmishers are really good in here with Berna, and then Mork, Varg, and Darren make for a good team. I just really kind of wanted to try out the Darren. One thing I like about him with his rework is that when he does take the damage, you can go ahead and use alchemy cards, which we have a bunch of, to do other things, and then he'll get passive healing that way. Great swords work the same way. We're not really going to do any damage to the opponent other than with Artis. So, and then Giga Scorpion Decoction is in here. But we're basically just using the alchemy cards and the Hey May Flaminica to heal them back up. One other option you could run, you could put Joanna in here, because great swords damage themselves when they play down, because the other units damage themselves if Artis is out. She's going to get those charges, and she heals by 2 every time you have a unit next to her get damaged. I wasn't finding as great a success with her, but it is something worth trying out. So anyway, that's my Skellige deck. Very different. It's not straight warriors, not straight removal, so it is a little bit different and really fun. Now I have a deck called Fiery Tempo. This deck is really fun. It uses the new Pincer Maneuver leader ability, and basically the goal here is to get out Geralt Igni in correspondence with Visigodo and Visigerd. Archers work really well with this as well, and then Aretuza, Adept, and Priscilla just feed all those charges. And you can also use Sabrina. So anyway, a bunch of cards that synergize really well together in a long round, where you can boost or damage an opponent's row all to the same number, and then annihilate them with Igni. It is something special. It is a totally fun Riot deck to play. It also takes advantage of Blue Stripe Scouts. We do have Roche Merciless in here. He is a little bit expensive, but I find that a lot of people get really distracted by him. They're really worried about a Pavetta play with Blue Stripe Commandos, when instead really all we're trying to do is tutor out some of these Blue Stripe Commandos to get some good thinning going on. Then you can use Scouts with Blue Stripe Commandos, but I also really like how you can use them with Dun Banner. If Dun Banner are receiving passive boosts from, let's say, Visigodo can work for it, or you can also use your Drummers. You could sub in an Egmund into this deck. You also have On a Stringer here. Card art is all messed up for some reason, but On a Stringer also works really well to just give those passive boosts to Dun Banner. You create a new one with Blue Stripe Scout, bam, at the end of the turn, or if you're using Visigodo during your turn, you go ahead and boost them up, and they're going to call out that 3-point card, making the Blue Stripe Scout play for 7. If you're playing it with Blue Stripes Commando, he's playing for 8. So really good value in a card, I find, and you can do a lot of fun things with it. All right, so that's Northern Realms. Next we have monsters. I have a deck called Organic Swarm. This is really fun. This revolves around the Insectoid archetype, and I've kind of combined that with my Organic Removal deck, and I think we've created something that's really fun, really spicy, quite a bit different from most of the other monster decks I've seen or been played with. And I think you can do a lot of really crazy stuff here. So I really do like Wisp-Best Tribute. If for no other reason, you can actually look at her face. Here's looking at you, Eves. Go get some surgery, man. But Whispering Hillock actually is such a great tutor card that can be played with Wisp-Best Tribute, and it's so great for Goliath. A lot of people were really concerned, no, I don't want it to brick, and I heard you. And so what we've done is we've added in Ruin, who is now an Insectoid, and you can now also use Caranthir on either Ruin or on Kikamor Queen. I find them both to be really good. Or if you want to be really, really spicy, you can actually use him on Goliath. It's pretty crazy. But you can use him on Goliath and then use like a Predatory Dive to kill your Goliath and your opponent's lowest card, and then call out your opponent's highest card, and then play another Goliath and do it all over again. But Indrega Eggs are also Death Wish. So, but I find Ruhin is really cool with Caranthir because you can get 2 of them going. You can get lots of boosts and stuff like that going on with the consumes. But also, Indrega Warrior, when he consumes in Ruhin now, he's going to spawn that drone for that consume. So the Indrega Warriors now become really good synergy with Ruhin. And then Kikamor Warrior is in here just because it's great point value. And if you want, you can actually sub in the ghouls. The ghouls have been buffed by 1 point. Personally, I still don't love them, but they do play really well with Kikamor Workers, and they do play well with Kikimor Queen because they do get that Thrive procced because they come down for 9 points. So that is something you can look into. Osriel is another card that you could put in here, but here I'm finding that this deck just, for some reason, it just works. Lacerate is such a great row punish card, and Wisp-Best can actually tutor that out because it's organic. Parasite is one of the best removals in the game for 6 points, and it can also do the 6 points of boost, so really good flexibility there. Quite a nice card. Alright, so that's monsters. For Thursday, I have a deck. We were talking on stream. If you don't follow me on Twitch, I suggest it. Obviously, do whatever you want. But we have so much fun coming up with just spicy random shenanigans. And this is a result of one of those days. Last night, we created this deck because we realized that we were playing Coup de Grace wrong all along. Coup de Grace is really, really good with Joachim, and it's really, really good with... I know a lot of people prefer Joachim, but I love it with Roderick as well. But it caused me to think, what happens if they purify Roderick? What happens if they purify Joachim? This is only a 10 provision cost card, and it is one of the better echoes. We had a long argument about whether or not it was better than Amphibious Assault, and basically, I think everyone... or at least I've come to the conclusion that point for point, this card is better than Amphibious Assault. Amphibious Assault went up to 13 provisions. It's now the most expensive of all of the Echo cards except for Oneiromancy, which isn't specific to any faction. Blood Eagle is broken. Blood Eagle gets out any card you want from a Warriors deck. You just have to use Patricidal Fury, or do a bunch of damage to units, or get a kill. I mean, you have so many different flexible ways that you can tutor out your 13 provision cost warriors, or 12 provision cost warriors. Amphibious Assault will never grab those for you. It's only going to grab 9 provision or fewer cost units. And so, from my perspective, the other thing too, you guys know because I've ranted about this, but it is a warfare card, and the warfare synergies are just horrible. Trololo and Odrin are mediocre at best, and the rest of the warfare cards are steaming hot garbage except for reinforcements. So Mad Charge is pretty good though. I'll say Mad Charge is pretty good synergy, but that's it. Now, with that said, all those negative things, the reason why I think Coup de Grace is so good, and the reason we've been playing it wrong this whole time, is because of this Deathblow. We've all been focused on the conspiracy and playing conspiracy to tutor out another Roderick or to tutor out another Joachim. That's very good. It's a great play. But we were playing against a Philippa deck, Philippa Eilhart, where she does that random Blind Fury, where she does the 4-3-2-1, and it caused me to contemplate, what if I instead played Coup de Grace on the Philippa Blind Fury and replayed her against my opponent? Now, the Blind Fury card is being used in a lot of these like Revenant decks, something you might be seeing up on ladder. And the Revenant decks are pretty good. They're really oppressive, but they don't respond well to broad removal, right? Think like if somebody played out a Philippa and then they play out their 3-point Revenant and then use mobilization on it so that they can have 2 of them, so you can't remove both of them. You play Coup de Grace, you kill their Philippa, and then you play Philippa yourself. It's going to kill off both those Revenants if those are the only other things on the board. At a minimum, you can target the 3-point Revenant and get it killed off right away. So, all of that being said, we also thought about imprisonment. Imprisonment, in my opinion, still is hot garbage, especially when paired with like Vautier or Von Hamar, just because you don't need that to damage the enemy unit. In fact, you might want it to just leave it the same. Kind of just do like Imposter, but without giving me their unit, and then instead give me 3 charges. I think that would be better. But what if instead we use this offensively to damage a 5-point unit by 3, and then use Coup de Grace to finish it off and steal it? All right. Think about that. All right, now I've kind of gone through that. We're going to be posting up this deck. It's really fun. It's really spicy. It's really weird. But that's what we're all about. Anyway, it's just a totally different way of playing, and I highly recommend it. Next, we will have Friday, and we're just going to be replaying Fearless Firestorm. I'm going to be coming out with a new deck. You may have seen Sigi's Crimes already. I'm going to post that link up in the description. It's pretty good. It's not amazing. I think Fearless Firestorm is the way to go. I think this deck is probably the winningest deck for the Syndicate faction, and it's totally, totally fun to play. So if you are looking to just push up ladder, and you have, especially if you haven't seen the video or you haven't tried out the deck, do that one. It's great. Last but not least, we'll have Saturday, and the deck I am rocking is a Golden Dragon, as Artorias Vigo might say. But you want to check out this deck. It is so fun. It's very different. I posted a video about it yesterday. I'll leave a link above in the description. But I highly recommend it. Watch that video. See how this deck is played. It has really, really good consistency because of the leader ability with these Sentinels and with Mahakam Volunteers. What you draw round one can kind of hurt sometimes, but because there's so much hand boost, you can just put down a hand boosting card and pass after 3 cards and have decent carryover. Very similar to kind of how the All God decks are playing right now. Also, I just noticed that Yorvith has like this compound bow in the background, and he looks just so peaceful with the squirrel. Bring Yorvith back. Make Yorvith good again. That's what I want. Anyway, those are my decks you see down below. I do have a couple other ones we're working on. We'll get to those later. But I think these are the ones that I recommend. I think you'll have a lot of fun playing with them. So, until next time, thank you so much. Please leave a like if you liked. Please subscribe if you want to see more content or you want to see these other decks come out. And until we see each other again, good luck on the path. Get out there and keep on Gwenting.